Look at this nice creek here. Me and my brother got the opportunity to come into this creek today. We've been walking for an hour and a half. He turned right down that branch right there, and I came walking up this berm. Walked up on this. Let me find it again. I just stopped. There it is. You see that right there? I'm gonna pause for a second. Here we go. I'm gonna pick it up. So it looks like a really nice Adena. It's got a wing broke off of it. But let's see. I'm gonna take another picture of it. Okay, here we go. Oh man, a long stem Adena. One wing broken off of it. Wow. There you go. All right, we're just about ready to leave the creek, but I might stay a little while longer now. Excellent. It's a pretty nice one. Fixing to pick it up. Right there it is. It's kind of crude, but it's whole. Yeah, it's old and crude. Still. Take them like that all day long.
3 in one day.
3 already. All right. That's what I'm talking about. All right. Here we are back in Heartbreak Creek, my wife and I. Walking out this big rock berm, and I walked up on this little arrowhead right here. Looks like it's broke. Still really nice. And tiny. All right. Keep going. Hope we don't get stormed out. All right, still at Heartbreak Creek. It's been a great day. Here's another stuff in here. Looks like a drill. It looks help. Yes. Yes. Let me go over here and rinse it off. Nice. Thank you.
I seen it too immediately.
Still got a long way to go. Okay. New creek. Just walked up on this. We've been in this creek for about 5 hours now. And just walked up on this. Oh my gosh. That is a... I thought it was a pentagonal at first, but it might not be. But it's paper thin. Oh my gosh. And perfect.
Good job, baby.
Just perfect.
Good job.
Wow. Down in the creek today, me and my wife and my brother. And see that right there? I know it's a little point. And it is. Look how small that thing is. All right. Keep going. Here we go, Heartbreak Creek. What you got, honey?
I don't know, baby.
Pretty? I knew I should have walked up there. Huh?
It's like a tiny nick off the tip, but I mean tiny nick.
Oh my goodness gracious, yes. All right, there it is right there. Let's see what it is. Just pull it up out of there. Oh my goodness, it's an Adena, a nice Adena. Okay, a really nice Adena.
I'm gonna take it.
Yeah, clean it off.
Oh my goodness, that water's cold.
It's ice cold. Really nice. About 2.5, 3 inches long. Really, really nice. All right, we're heading through Geneva, Kentucky on our way to Smith Mills. We're going to end the day doing an investigation down here in Martin Road, where we just took the Dogman sighting reports. So this ought to be interesting. Town of Smith Mills, Kentucky. Don't blink or you'll miss it. All right, here it is right here. Martin Road. See what's going on down here today. Okay, it's getting pretty thick up here. We're going to go up a little bit further, all the way up to Bird Hill, also known as Trow Hill. That seems to be where most of the activity here takes place. So we're going to check it out. All right, there's the little metal bridge where we come upon a grandfather and his grandson hunting trolls one day, and that was a few years back. And we're going to go on up here. So we're getting really deep into it now. Pretty secluded spot here. Not a lot of people come here. All right, well, here we are. We've had a lot of activity out here before, so we're just gonna check it out, have a look around. Hi guys, welcome to another adventure. So for all you returning viewers, thank you very much. Glad to have you here again. For all you new subscribers, a humble thank you. Hope you enjoy your stay here and find something that you like. Maybe leave a like and a comment. Letitia and I really love to interact with you in the comment sections. So today we're at Troll Hill. A lot of people call it Bird Hill. It's SLO's Wildlife Management here in Smith Mills, Kentucky, Cape Hills unit. We call it Troll Hill for reasons I'm about to read to you. We've been coming here for like 15 years now. Every time we think we're done with this place, something happens that brings us right back. So, tell you why we call it Troll Hill. I'm gonna read this to you from my last book, which is Mysterious Kentucky Volume 2, The Dark and Bloody Ground. It's available on Amazon if you guys want to check it out. Okay, on February 21st, 2012, I was contacted by Robert P. and his wife. The two had been driving down an isolated country road on Bird Hill in Smith Mills late the previous evening and had seen a tall, dark figure sitting on a fallen tree near the creek, which is right behind me. When their headlights hit the thing, it stood up and started running down the road away from them, then darted into the surrounding trees and was gone. They were sure it was no late-night coon hunter or any other sort of human for that matter, because of the size of the thing. It was big, they told me, at least 7 feet tall, probably taller, but it was dark, well after midnight, and it was a solid black color from its head down to its feet. And they had never seen any man run that fast, they added. Both of them doubted that it was even possible. It was gone just like that, Robert said. We kept driving down the road until it dead-ended there at the creek, which is where we are right now. But we didn't see or hear anything unusual. When first observed, the figure was reposing on the log near the creek only about 20 yards away. When their vehicle rounded the curve and the headlights hit it, they must have surprised it, Robert reasoned. This may have been true, I told him, if the creature was stone deaf. Robert and his wife were driving a full-size four-wheel drive truck at the time of the incident. It would have been impossible for the creature not to have heard it coming down the gravel road in the still of the early morning hours when everything is silent and calm. More likely to me at least, that it had simply sat there on the log and waited for them to round the bend so it would be seen. Since the witnesses were obviously sincere, I decided to investigate the area and arrived there, accompanied by my wife Letitia, on the following afternoon of the 22nd, less than 48 hours after the initial sighting. Bird Hill is situated just off Martin Road in Smith Mills, a part of the Slough's Wildlife Management and Recreation Area, and it is a large tract of forest, creeks, and farm fields along the edge of the Ohio River in a fairly remote location, especially at night. In 2009 and again in 2011, I had received reports of possible Bigfoot vocalizations from two different sources in the area. They were both sure that the noises weren't made by any known animal, as they were very loud and came from close by. I interviewed the witnesses and made a thorough search of both areas, which were within a mile of Bird Hill, but found nothing conclusive with which to identify the sounds. Just before the turnoff to Bird Hill is a culvert which spans a creek on either side of the road. As we drove up to it, we noticed two people standing at the edge of the road staring down into the ditch. As we drove closer, we saw that it was an older gentleman and a young teenager. Curious as to what was going on, I couldn't help but pull up to them and stop. I leaned out and said, "Excuse me, fellas, but if you don't mind my asking, what's so interesting down in that creek?" The older gentleman kind of chuckled, and much to our amazement said, "Well, you might not believe me, but we're just doing a little troll hunting." I pulled over, of course. John H. Edens was his name, he told me, and proudly. His handshake was firm, and he looked me squarely in the eyes as he spoke. He and his family had lived in the area all their lives, he said. He'd grown up in the next farmhouse down the road. Crazy as it sounded, he confided to me that around dusk one night the previous summer, he and his grandson there had been down at the culvert with their .22 caliber pistols, target practicing by shooting at turtles and snakes and such, when suddenly this big, dark, hairy creature about 6 foot tall with black eyes emerged from the other side of the drainage pipe and commenced to walk slowly toward the two. It made no sound at all, John said, and it was not human. Unnerved, he told his grandson to get to the truck as he gave a warning shot over the thing's head and yelled for it to stop. It didn't stop. John backed up rapidly toward his truck, firing directly into the creature's chest as he went. His grandson started shooting as well, and they unloaded both their pistols into the creature's body, which seemed to be completely unaffected by the bullets, and continued toward them. Now thoroughly terrified, the two then got in the truck and beat a hasty retreat from the area. Further questioning revealed that the creature was completely covered in black hair, even its face, and was built like a bodybuilder with heavy muscles. The most alarming feature, he claimed, were its large, completely black eyes. It didn't even utter a single grunt, John told me, even as we were shooting it. When he asked if he or his family had ever seen anything else unusual while living there, he told me that his family had, indeed, had experiences on their farm with the same or similar creatures as far back as the 1950s. They had the now familiar history of the occasional missing or mutilated farm animals, which seems to accompany repeated sightings of these creatures, and a few other odd happenings around the farm. Shadows, noises, etc. Did anyone in your family ever try to track the thing and kill it, I asked. We thought about it, yeah, but Dad always told us not to ever do that. These things were to be left alone, he told us, and avoided at all times. Now I know why. He glanced at his grandson. If bullets don't stop them, then what will?
When I asked if he had ever reported the presence of the creatures and the family's experiences to anyone, he merely grinned and said, "To who? Who's going to believe us?" Indeed. We left Mr. Edens and his grandson to their further scrutiny of the culvert and continued to Bird Hill, just one right turn and a short drive down the road, parking next to the creek where the road dead ended. We spent the next hour placing trail cameras along the thickly wooded creek banks and then decided to do a little exploring to get a better feel for the area. On the opposite side of the road was a good-sized field where we found the remains of a very old house, abandoned for decades. Small trees and tall grass had long since reclaimed the parts of the structure that hadn't already crumbled into the ground. I mused aloud to my wife, if only these walls could talk, what stories they could tell us. At the edge of the field was a windbreak, a line of trees separating two large fields, left there ages ago to reduce wind velocity and slow soil erosion. The Ohio River, which lay just beyond the next field, was in flood stage. The backwater had risen all the way to the windbreak. We had noticed while standing near the old house that the farmers had recently cleared about a 6-foot wide stretch of trees on this side of the break, and we walked over to inspect the ground there for possible footprints or Indian artifacts. Just on the other side of the break stood a large, old, stately pecan tree basking in the afternoon sun. I decided it would make a great picture, amateur photographer that I am, and walked over to shoot it with my cell phone. There, not far from the tree at the edge of the water, I found a single footprint. It was only about 10 inches long and appeared to be that of a barefoot human, only wider at the toes. I couldn't conceive of anyone running around wearing no shoes at that time of year, and there was only one print. No trace of any other prints on this side of the water. Excuse me. I photographed the print and we continued to search up the cleared side of the tree line. Okay, I found a single footprint. It was only about 10 inches long and appeared to be that of a barefoot human, only wider at the toes. I couldn't conceive of anyone running around wearing no shoes at that time of year, and there was only the one print. No trace of any other prints on this side of the water. I photographed the print and we continued our search up the cleared side of the tree line. As for footprints of anything other than deer, the search was fruitless, but we did find several nice artifacts as we walked along the tree line, and something strange happened. We walked for several hundred feet and were approaching another windbreak, this one running at a right angle from the one we were on, marching straight down to the river in the distance to our right. We started to hear voices coming from the other side of the tree line. It sounded like a man and a woman having a normal conversation. Now, hearing someone's voice in the isolated bottomlands of western Kentucky, I can tell you from experience, is a rare thing unless you're near the river. Fishermen in boats are a very common sight on the Ohio River, even in February. So since we were just at the edge of the backwater, I thought that's what we were hearing. It was most definitely the voices of a man and a woman, two different voices. So naturally I thought that a couple was out on a fishing trip enjoying the day, nothing unusual at all. The voices were coming from the other side of the windbreak, so we couldn't see the people we knew must be there. But strangely, the closer we got to the area from which the voices were coming, the more bizarre sounding they became. We found that we couldn't understand what they were saying, even though I motioned for Letitia to stop walking, and we stood there for a good while just listening to them. From the inflection and tone, they seemed to be speaking English, but try as we might, we couldn't make out a single word clearly. After a minute or so, we carried on at a faster pace until we reached the other side of the break and could see the entire water-covered field. I rounded the tree line expecting to see a john boat and two people fishing, but there was nothing there. The entire field was empty and now completely silent. We stood there surveying the scene for several minutes till I was satisfied that the area was completely empty of anyone but ourselves. This was quite puzzling, I assure you, for both of us, but as the afternoon was now starting to wane towards evening, we turned around and retraced our steps back to the creek. Back at the vehicle near the creek, we were wandering around waiting for the sun to go down when another amazing thing happened. There was a gated dirt road that ran further back into the property, and we were loitering around the gate when suddenly several deer came out of the backwater about 50 yards in front of us and ran like lightning back up into the surrounding hills. Then, much to our amazement, there followed behind them such a tremendous number of deer, the likes of which I had never before seen, rushing up out of the water and running with breakneck speed into the trees. We stood there silently, hardly believing our own eyes. There must have been hundreds of them stampeding into the brush. Whether they were frightened by something behind them or this is normal behavior behavior for the animals I cannot say, as despite being born and raised in the bottomlands of Kentucky, I've never seen anything like that. It was truly a sight to behold. Okay, now if you want to read the rest of that story, pick up my book, Amazon.com, Mysterious Kentucky Volume 2. Now we're going to hang out here for a little while until tonight, and after the sun goes down, we're going to do a little exploring in this area. So you guys stay tuned.
Like a deer scrape here. And that looks like the deer trail. Definitely is. I don't know what made that depression. Doesn't look like a footprint. Well, with all this leaf fall, I don't guess we have to worry about sneaking up on anything. Hopefully, no one's sneaking up on us either. There's some kind of knocking going on over there. Could be limbs falling off into the water. That's what that was. I think that knocking I heard was limbs falling off. Let's just be quiet for a few minutes and still and see if we can hear anything. What do you think? Sound good?
Yeah, sounds good.
See that?
Yes, I see it now. Put your light back over. Might have been an old deer stand, maybe. Maybe just a ladder. So quiet tonight.
Well, no owls and nothing out tonight. Unusual. I had a bunch of barn owls playing.
Yeah, we're gonna walk down. Check out what's down through here. You can see a ladder.
On the ground behind you. Like this is the ending where this old road we're walking down. Like it ends right in here somewhere.
Maybe we should stop for a minute to see if we hear anything.
Yeah, let's do that. Just turn out your light. Let's be really quiet for a minute.